My name is Sridhar. I deal with physics subject. We have seen dipole and the electric field due to dipole. Now we will see what happens when a dipole is placed in an uniform electric field. Let us see, when a dipole is placed in a uniform electric field of strength E, it experiences net force 0 and also it experiences some net torque. Let us see, consider a dipole minus q and plus q with a dipole length 2a, which is initially at an angle theta to the direction of the field. So we already discussed, when charges are placed in a field, they experience force. Now this plus q charge experience a force in this direction, which is EQ, and this is negative charge which experiences a force in a direction opposite to the direction of the field, again EQ. Now the net force on this dipole is 0, but these two are acting on the dipole at two different points, which they produce the torque upon the dipole. When this dipole is placed at an angle theta to the direction of the field, the torque experienced by this dipole can be calculated as, let us see, torque acting on the dipole. Torque acting on the dipole. Let us see, extend the lines of action of these two forces. These are the lines of action of these two forces. This is like this and this is like this. The perpendicular distance between them is, this is a perpendicular distance between them. If this is theta, this would be theta. Now this length will become 2a sine theta. 2a sine theta. This opposite side, which is the perpendicular distance between the lines of action of these two forces, is 2a sine theta. Now we know that the torque is given by force acting into perpendicular distance. So torque tau is equal to, the force is EQ into the perpendicular distance between the lines of action of these two forces is 2a sine theta. This is equation 1. We know that the dipole moment of the dipole is given by, the dipole moment of the dipole is given by P is equal to, we know that P is equal to Q into 2a. This is equation 2. From 1 and 2 equations, if I substitute this one here, now torque T is equal to E P sine theta. So torque tau is equal to P sine theta. This is the torque acting on the dipole. This is the torque acting on the dipole. What is the direction of this torque? As torque is a vector quantity, we have to define the direction for it. So tau is equal to P sine theta will give the magnitude of the torque acting on the dipole placed in an uniform electric field at an angle theta to the field. Now let us see, this is P bar, this is E bar, P bar cross E bar will give the direction of the torque. Now I can write this torque in vector form. In vector form as tau bar is equal to P bar cross E bar. Torque tau bar is equal to P bar cross E bar. So direction of the torque is given by the rotation of P bar towards E bar. So that is shown by right hand thumb rule. put your right hand towards P bar, in this direction P bar cross E bar. So this is the direction of the torque into the plane of the board. Okay. So let us see if theta is equal, what are the conditions that we can apply? So case 1, we see different cases. Case 1, theta is equal to 0 degrees. Let us see the dipole is in the direction of plus q minus q. This is the dipole moment. The dipole moment is in the direction of electric field. Then the angle between P bar and E bar, this is P bar and this is E bar. P bar is in the direction of E bar. So the angle becomes 0. When the angle becomes 0, the direction of the forces can be represented as F is equal to EQ like this, F is equal to EQ like this. And these two forces are passing through the center of the dipole, okay, and produces no torque, because so it is the point, or the center of the dipole is the point about which we are defining the torque due to these two forces. When the lines of action of forces are passing through the center of the dipole, they cannot produce the torque. And anyways, net force is equal to 0. So therefore, simply we can write tau is equal to 0 and F is also 0. So anyways, F is 0, tau is also 0. We will see the second case. Let us see if theta is equal to, case 2, if theta is equal to 90 degrees. Let us see, this is the direction of the field. This is E bar. This is the direction of the field. Now I take the dipole as, this is minus Q, this is plus Q. Now the forces on the dipole are represented in these directions. This is EQ and this is EQ, because these two forces act on the two charges in opposite directions. Now the net force on the dipole is 0. So F net is equal to 0. Let us see tau. Tau is equal to P sine theta, where theta is 90 degrees. So this is P bar and this is E bar. So angle between P bar and E bar is 90 degrees. So therefore we can simply substitute theta is equal to 90. We can get tau is equal to PE. This is a maximum torque acting on the dipole. This is a maximum torque acting on the dipole. Let us see the third case. If theta is equal to 180 degrees. If theta is equal to 180 degrees. Now we will draw the direction of dipole. This is E bar. Now the dipole is, this is plus Q, this is minus Q. This is the direction of dipole moment. This is the direction of dipole moment. This is P bar and this is E bar. Angle between them is 180 degrees. So therefore, theta is 180 degrees, and also the forces acting on them are, see, this is the force in this direction, which is EQ. This is a force in this direction upon this minus Q due to this field, which will be in this direction, which is equal to EQ. These two forces are equal in magnitude and opposite in direction, passing through the center. Therefore, the net force acting on the dipole is 0. As well, these two lines of action of these two forces are passing through the center of the dipole. They cannot produce any torque. So therefore, F net on the dipole is equal to 0. As well, tau net is also 0. So this is the case when the dipole is opposite to the direction of the field. These are the three cases where we can discuss the torque acting on the dipole. The next important topic of electric charges and fields is Gauss's law. Gauss law. Before we enter into this, let us define electric flux. Electric flux. Electric flux. We already discussed electric lines of force. Electric lines of force are those imaginary lines which give the direction of the field at a point by the tangent drawn upon it at that point. Using these lines of force, we define the concept of electric flux. Let us consider area A. So basically in physics, area is an areal vector. It is placed in an electric field. We already know that this electric field contains electric lines of force. Now we define, using these electric lines of force, the flux through this area. Basically flux means group. Let us see, how do we define this electric flux? It is the number of electric lines of force, the number of electric lines of force passing through given area of the surface perpendicular to it. That is, so these are the electric lines of force. These lines of force are passing through this area like this. The number of electric lines of force passing through this area perpendicular to its surface is known as electric flux. The magnitude of the electric flux is represented by phi and is given by the product of the electric field strength and area of the surface. Electric field strength and area of the surface. Now let us see what is the unit of this electric flux. Electric field is, we already know that electric field is force by charge, so which is Newton per Coulomb. Newton per Coulomb. So this is Newton per Coulomb into area. Area is represented by meter square. So Newton meter square per Coulomb, which is also known as Weber. So this is the unit of electric flux. Now once again I define what is this electric flux. Electric flux is nothing but the number of lines of forces passing through given area of the surface perpendicular to it. Okay? The magnitude of the flux is the product of field strength and the area of the given surface. This is how we will see electric flux. Suppose if the electric field lines are not passing through the surface perpendicular to it, that is, electric field is not perpendicular to the area, then we will see like this. Suppose if this areal vector is like this and the electric field vector is making an angle theta with the direction of the areal vector, then the electric flux through this given surface is given by, right, the component of this field in the direction of areal vector, which is E cos theta. So E cos theta into magnitude of this area is A. Therefore, flux is equal to EA cos theta. Now this flux in vector form can be represented as E bar dot A bar. Because area is a vector and electric field is a vector and theta is the angle between them, then the electric flux through a given surface which is placed in an electric field is given by the product of E bar and A bar, electric field vector and areal vector. So this is a representation of electric flux through a surface. Suppose let us see if theta is equal to 0 degrees, that is, so this is the surface, if this is E bar and this is A bar, then the flux through the surface is EA. If theta is equal to 90 degrees, suppose this is the surface and this is the areal vector and this is the electric field vector. The field lines, this is the areal vector like this, and the field lines are passing upon the plane of the surface. No field line is entering into the surface. So the flux through the surface is 0. Because theta is equal to 90, so EA cos 90, which is equal to 0. If theta is 180 degrees, if theta is equal to 180 degrees, that is, now I am taking the electric field vector like this, and the area which is like this is rotated like this. So now this aerial vector direction is like this. Now the angle between them is 180 degrees. Therefore, flux is equal to EA cos 180 is minus 1. So the flux is minus E. So this is a way how we can discuss the flux through a surface. What is the total flux through an elemental area? Let us see it like this. Suppose I have taken some area. This area is enclosing some charge q, and consider a small surface upon this area, which is a ds. There is an electric field due to this charge, whose electric lines of force pass through this area like this. Electric lines of force pass through like this. Then the electric flux due to the electric field of this charge through this small elemental area is obtained by integrating the flux through this small area. The flux through the small area is represented as d phi. Always the small flux through small area. So electric field into small area is ds. The small area is represented as ds into cos theta. Into cos theta. Angle between the, let us think angle between, this is the area, angle between the field and the area is theta. Now I am writing the flux through the small elemental area due to the electric field of charge q enclosed by a surface as d phi is equal to E ds into cos theta. Now the total flux is given by integrating the small flux. So total flux is equal to integral of d phi. So total flux is equal to, so integral of d phi is represented as E ds cos theta. So total flux is equal to, since the charge is enclosed by this surface, so I am writing this closed integral of. Now E ds cos theta can be represented in vector form because ds is an aerial vector, small elemental aerial vector. E bar is also a vector. Then I can write the flux through this small surface as E bar dot ds bar. So closed line integral of E bar dot ds bar. This is the total flux through the surface enclosed by this charge. In this way, we can calculate the total flux by integrating the flux through a small elemental area. Now we will go with the main important topic, that is Gauss law. Gauss law. What is this Gauss law? Let us consider a closed surface in which it encloses a charge q. Let us take a small elemental area upon this. The electric field due to this charge due to this small elemental area making an angle of ds bar, making an angle of theta with ds bar is now apart point. Apart. Now we go with Gauss law. So Gauss law. What is this Gauss law? Consider a surface, a closed surface in which a charge is present inside it. Consider a small area upon it. This charge produces an electric field. Let the direction of electric field is in this direction and the aerial vector is in this direction. The angle between them is theta. Now this is like this. Like this. Now according to Gauss law, the flux through the closed surface, is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by the surface. Now, according to Gauss law, we define the flux due to a charge through a closed surface is nothing but equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by this surface. So, this is the definition of Gauss law. Now, we already know that the flux through a closed surface due to the field of a charge enclosed by it is given by, so closed line integral of E bar dot ds bar, where ds bar is the elemental area and E bar is the electric field due to this charge enclosed by the surface. Now, totally we can write the Gauss law as phi is equal to closed line integral of E bar dot ds bar, which will be equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Once again I repeat, what is Gauss law? Gauss law is defined as the total flux through a closed surface by a charge enclosed by it is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed by that surface. So, flux phi is equal to, if Q is the charge enclosed by the surface, then flux through the closed surface can be written as phi is equal to Q enclosed by epsilon naught. Now, let us see some applications related to Gauss law. So, what is mainly this Gauss law? What is the use of this Gauss law? So, Gauss law is basically used to find out electric field strength due to symmetrical distributions. So, Gauss law is a fundamental law of physics. It can be applicable anywhere, whether it is uniformly distributed charge or non-uniformly distributed charge, but it is comfortable and it is easier for symmetrical distributions. So, now this Gauss law is applied for some symmetrical distributions and we can find out the electric field strength easily for such distributions. Now, let us see how do we apply Gauss law for different surfaces. How do you apply Gauss law for different surfaces? Before we go for that, let us see, find out the flux for flux due to a charge enclosed by the surface. For example, there is a spherical shell where a charge is placed at the center of the shell. What is the flux through this shell? So, in order to know the flux due to this charge through the hemispherical shell, first it should be closed. The surface which is enclosing this charge is known as a Gaussian surface. So, now here in this case, the charge which is present at the center of the hemispherical shell is not being closed. That is why I use a symmetrical surface to enclose this charge like this. Now the charge is completely enclosed. Now the flux through the total surface is Q by epsilon naught. So here the flux will be equally shared by two halves. Now the electric flux through the half of the shell is each, that is half shell is Q by epsilon naught by 2. Therefore, flux through each is Q by 2 epsilon naught. So, this is a way we can find out the flux through a surface by a charge enclosed by it. The surface enclosing the charge is known as Gaussian surface. So, this is how we can calculate the flux. Let us see the other applications of electric flux and Gauss law in the next section.